Alright, I'm going to do a little instructional video on how to do a basic relief print. The block has already been carved and ready to go. This is going to be my palette where I put the ink. I'm going to use this to scoop the ink out. Here's the trusty Speedball ink. This is a brayer. You'll need this to roll the ink on. And this is a wooden spoon that we'll use to press the block into the paper. So up first, I'm going to take the ink, scoop some out. And what I like to do is stick a little bit at the top, kind of like what I call a little reservoir of ink. Alright, and then I'm going to take my brayer and I'm just going to pull a little bit down at a time. Oftentimes I get kids and they just stick the whole thing in, and it's like, whoa boy, you got way too much ink on there now. Well, what do? You're going to lose all your detail. If that happens, push down hard and try to get it back up there, okay? Otherwise, now I'm going to just go back and forth, trying to make that noise. You kind of hear that tacky noise? That means your brayer is getting really well inked. And when it's fully inked, it's called charged. So, now that my brayer is charged, I'm going to come over here to my block. I'm going to start applying the ink. And you don't need to go over here all like over and over and over again. Once it looks like over here where you're starting to lose ink, come back and get a little bit more. Bring a little bit down at a time. Continue, go back and forth, go all different directions on your block. That way you'll be sure to get good coverage. Now if you go off the edge a little bit, that's okay, because that's why you put extra paper down. It's important though that before you print, you put another piece of paper down so that you're not going to take up all of that yucky stuff when you print your actual paper. Because that's when we're referring to craftsmanship. And craftsmanship is one of the easiest things that anybody can do, no matter how talented you are. And what I like to tell my kids too is we're working on craftsmanship and not craftsmanship. So I'm going to continue to do this. Get it all good and inked up. You can use whatever color ink you want. Red just happened to be close. And I thought, oh, I've never done this in red. Try it out. Okay, I'm almost done. You see the block is fully coated with the appropriate amount of ink. I'm going to put the brayer to the side. Now I'm going to move my block, put a fresh piece of paper down so I don't get all the yuckies. And then I'm going to put my block back here. Then I'm going to take another piece of paper, be very careful, and line it up at the corner and the top. And then lay it down. And sometimes the block is not exactly 100% the same size as the paper, and that's okay. What I'm going to do next is use this wooden spoon. You can use a metal spoon, it doesn't really matter. And I'm really just kind of laboring it, pushing. You can kind of see it coming through a little bit. And I'm sorry, the camera's shaking, I'm pushing so hard. And what you can do is you can peel a little bit up and you can see where you've pressed, and I can see there's some streaks there where I need to go back and do it some more, and down here I haven't even pressed at all. Whatever you do, do not pull the entire thing off at one time, because you cannot put it back on if you're just checking to see your progress. So, using lots of pressure. Sometimes when I have kids that are using a metal spoon, they like to goof off, and like when you go like this, you rub really fast, it makes friction, and friction makes heat, and then they like to go burn their neighbor with it. So please try not to do that. Hopefully you guys are all much more responsible than some of my little turd birds I've had in class over the last 16 years. So once you think that you've got it perfectly printed the way you will love it, it's wonderful. Oh yes, wonderful. I'm going to double check over here. Go a little bit more over on this corner. But here in a second, I'm going to pull this off for demonstration purposes, so I'm not doing this all day long. I'm going to pull it off. Let's pretend it's perfect. Move this out of the way. Put this down. Doesn't look too bad. Now I'm going to grab a pencil, and it needs to be an actual pencil. And we're going to label it the way printmakers traditionally labeled it. So normally I require my students to make 5 prints. So I'm going to say 1/5. Title will be, I'm just going to write title, and then signature. and then 2020 or whatever year it happens to be when you're doing this. Then I'll go put it on the drying rack, and then I'll bring my block back, move the yucky piece out of the way, and I'll re-ink it and repeat and do this again as many times as necessary to get the required number of prints to create my print edition. So I hope this helps you figure out how you want to do your relief print. You can do it any color you want, and I hope you enjoy printmaking.